What's good in the hood, YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai 71 here, bringing you another video. Today I wanted to do another video for, regarding Power Rangers, and it is for not Power Rangers. What am I saying? Powerpuff Girls. Powerpuff Girls, the reboot TV show that is on. I'm not sure if it's gotten to the American audiences again, but you can find it online, and also if you live in wherever it's showing right now, you can find it there. The first 3 episodes, actually, I've found out, are available at least online, and they will obviously do more as time goes on. But the second episode, for those who don't know, is called Princess Buttercup. Kind of interesting because the last episode was called Man Up, and yet like princess was a thing in that episode, so it makes sense. But Princess Buttercup, good episode, interesting one. It brings in a character that is definitely familiar to people that have watched the original Powerpuff Girls show, and she's an interesting character to see that they brought her back. Obviously different voice actor, so same voice, nope, sadly. So the cute kind of cute but annoying kind of voice that she used to have isn't there, but she has a different voice, and similar but definitely different. I mean, her visual appearance is for the most part basically the same, but we'll get to that. Anyway, this episode starts off with the Powerpuff Girls talking about scrapbooking or whatever, and then like Buttercup talking about how she ended up meeting up with this guy at a construction site and wrestling a crane or some truck or whatever, and kind of interesting. Then she meets up with the Derby Taunts, and they're a group of girls and one guy who all have nicknames that end with Lynn, so Maylin, and so what happens is, or whatever, and a whole bunch of other ones, and Maylin's the leader, and the thing is that they end up like finding out about Buttercup, and they end up saying, "Hey, you want to hang out with us? We heard that you're really cool and all that. We heard about what you're into. You sound really awesome." And she's like, "Sure, let's do it," because like she's bored with her sisters at the time, and so she goes out of her way to join up with these girls. And so while she's with them, her sisters are like want to be with her, but she's all with them, and they're not all about that kind of tough and rough stuff, and they're all into this thing called Death Ball, which is basically just like a much more hardcore version of dodgeball, except rather than by accident hitting a person in the face or hurting a person, it's more like, oh, we're gonna use a hard ball and we are gonna wail on you, like, wow. So yeah, that all happens. And then we are also introduced to, then we are also reintroduced, for those that have watched the original Powerpuff Girls, to Princess Morbucks. For those who don't remember her, a very well-known character who always wanted to be like the Powerpuff Girls. She wanted to be a Powerpuff Girl, and she had tons and tons of money, and she would try to use her money as a way to create incentive for the Powerpuff Girls to agree to let her join the team. And they would always say no to her, and sometimes they would say yes, but and then they would fight back. And that's what happens here, is that they say no to her, and the thing is that she's like, you'll see, eventually you'll agree to letting me be a Powerpuff Girl or whatever. And then eventually, after a whole bunch of that stuff happens, the other, Blossom and Bubbles get to see them, and they end up learning about the three, learn about the Derby taunts, and there's a really funny guy who has a girly voice, which is kind of funny because it's basically just like the main girl's voice but in a guy, so it's kind of funny looking. And basically she's still hanging out with her friends. She thinks it's so cool to hang with these people that are all tough and all cool and all that. and they all wear rollerblades and helmets and all that. And she starts wearing the look, and she ends up being referred to as Buttlin, because like Buttercup, so Buttlin, and these are all like Lin, so Buttlin, which is unfortunate, but it makes sense. Although Butterlin would make a little bit more sense, although it's a little bit weird, but I get why Buttlin works. So that all happens, and Princess Morbucks tries to show off how she has the technology, she has the money, she has a suit ready and everything like that, and like Blossom's like amazed by all the stuff that like she has, and how she basically has everything she needs to become a Powerpuff Girl. And eventually they deny her again, and then Princess Morbucks goes on her phone, boop beep boop boop beep, and calls up a monster who's just driving by. Yeah, why not? And that monster decides to take the offer of growing for money, most likely. And the monster grows huge, grows out of his car basically. And what happens is they have to fight it. And the idea is that she's hoping that Buttercup won't come, and so the other girls have to deal with it. And she knows that Buttercup won't come. Now you may be wondering how. Well, the Derbytons. What happens is that they're hanging out with Buttercup. The wall gets broken at one point that they're hanging in. I forget exactly how. I believe it may have been like they threw something or whatever. And they end up seeing the monster attack. And Buttercup wants to go out and help her sisters, of course. The thing is that the Derbytons stop her. And the reason, and then eventually they explain that the Derbytons were hired by Princess Morbucks to prevent her from being with her sisters, and pretty logical, but makes a lot of sense. Anyway, that all happens, and they have to deal with that, and Blossom eventually agrees to let Princess Morbucks join the Powerpuff Girls. The thing is that Princess Morbucks doesn't want to become part of the Powerpuff Girls. She wants to be the Powerpuff Girl. She doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want more than one. So what happens is that once she gets the ability to become one, she first of all makes a message to him, basically saying, "Villain duties complete." And the monster basically is like, "Okay, you better give me a good review." And then basically just like keels over and knocks over a boat in the process, which is no big deal, right? So that all happens, and then Princess Morbucks goes out of her way to actually trap them inside of a Blossom and Bubbles inside of a diamond encasing, and it's beyond difficult to break, so they can't break it open and all that. And so what happens is that eventually Buttercup, after beating up the Derbytons, Maylin actually still is like, you know what, she's alright with me. So what happens is that then Buttercup tries to help her sister, and she ends up fighting Princess Morbucks by basically knocking her out. And then eventually Princess Morbucks gets her own robot to deal with them. So then following this, the Derbytons show up. They help rescue Blossom and Bubbles, and the girls as well as the Derbytons are now like friends, and they actually end up defeating Princess Morbucks pretty easily. We have the diamonds that, because like they end up destroying the diamonds, but there still are pieces, and these pieces are they're diamonds. So like she throws them, and like they're gonna be pretty powerful. So she throws big chunks of diamond at Princess Morbucks' robot, destroys her, everything. Well, at least knocks her away, and most likely she'll show up at some point in the show again. So that all happens, and afterwards, it's a nice kind of happy ending where they're just like, I should have known better about who my true friends are. I know it's you. I know it's you're my true friends. But then like I think it's Blossom or Bubbles is like, no, we're not only your friends, we're your sisters. And it's a very sweet but simple ending that is very fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this overall review and synopsis. Really did enjoy this episode. These are very sweet but simple episodes, and though these are different voice actors and it doesn't have the exact same feel as the original show did, which is which I always loved the original show, still was very fun to watch, and I am looking forward to watching the third episode, which I'm sure I'll release a review in the next day or so. So stay tuned for that, and tell me what you guys think in the comments. Did you like this episode? Have you actually watched the episodes yourself yet? Tell me all that below, and I will see you guys in the next video. So until then, guys, I'm Crazy Samurai 71, and goodbye, guys.